in their life. Every kid. Every kid. A lot of us have Ronald Durkins in our lives, have had them, until we smiled real big and knocked them off their t-shirt for a little bit. I'm Andrea Penny. I'm the principal at Cottonwood Creek Elementary in Coppell. We are in the flight pattern of the DFW airport. Everybody goes, where's Coppell? They fly over our building all day long. And so wanted to share with you something that we have started at our school because it is the easiest, least expensive way to teach character and leadership. How many of you like cheap? We like cheap. We're principals. We like cheap. So I wanted to tell you our story. These are children's books, but we use them in a different way. And several years ago, our district gave us the opportunity to choose an initiative. And so several of the schools decided to be STEM schools, STEAM schools, IB schools. Our thought when we brought the staff together was that every school needs to be a STEM school. Every school needs to be an IB. I mean, everybody needs to have those components of everything that works for the school and for the children. And we said, all right, what could we do that's a little bit different? And we said, all right, we're going to be a school of leadership. And we went, okay. And so we investigated The Leader in Me, all sorts of programs. And I will tell you, we're not a title campus. We get zero money, zero. So it was like, well, that's not going to happen. So we thought, you know what? We can do this. And so we started doing things our way. We call it the Cottonwood Way. And if you're around Coppell, you'll know that's the Cottonwood Way. And one of the things that we thought, okay, wait a minute. I say we, actually it was me, and I just kind of said, we're going to do this. And they went, okay. I do have an amazing librarian, And so actually I tried this with college students first, just to see what would happen. And it took off amazingly well. And so I'm going to tell you kind of what we do. I'm going to show you pictures, and then I want to give you plenty of time to ask questions at the end. But it is so simple, you're going to go, really? This is all you do? Yep, this is all we do. So I'm going to get my little thing here, and I have my Mac Genius right over here. Tiffany, you're a Mac Genius. Yes, you are. Compared to me, you are a Mac Genius. This is my contact information. If you ever have any questions or if I can help you with anything, I would be happy to. I've been doing this a long time, not this particular thing a long time, but being a principal for a long time and in education for a long time. So if I can help you with anything, please let me know. Tiffany asked, can you send me the PowerPoint? I'll be happy to do that when I get back to the Metroplex later this week. I'd be happy to if it's worthy. After the presentation, I go, forget it. I don't need that PowerPoint. I don't need it. But there's all sorts of contact information. So anyway, what we did is we started the first of the year with books that we thought would help teach leadership. Now, there are books that actually do that. I mean, it'll be, Abe Lincoln was an honest man in this book. So we get that part. But our feeling was, that's telling children what it is. We wanted to put children into situations where they had to figure out what leadership, what character traits did they have to use. So we honestly just chose books that were familiar or unfamiliar with the children. We order 7 copies because we're a K through 6 campus, but you're going to see what we do with that book number 7 in a minute. But we ordered them. These, let me see here. Okay, we also started out the year, this is at the beginning of the school year, and we had paired the teachers with teachers that they don't normally work with. So maybe a 3rd grade with a 5th grade, a 2nd grade with a 4th grade, you get it. And so we told them, you choose a children's book, we're going to put it on the Google Doc, and then when you come back at the beginning of the school for our staff development, you're going to share some activities that children could do with these books that would help them learn about character and leadership. And we use the words leadership and character synonymously. So they all had their books. They all put them on Google Docs. Now, I will tell you right now, I told them, first off, I have veto power. Because guess what book showed up? Number 1, over and over again, The Giving Tree. I said, no, we're not doing The Giving Tree. Nobody's doing The Giving Tree. We're going to do children's books. And yes, The Giving Tree is a children's book, but we wanted more picture books. So they came back, and so we set up the staff development, the staff learning, in stations. So the staff would rotate while half of the group presented, and then they would switch. And so they would go to each of the stations, and in each of the stations, there would be a team of teachers with the book and with activities. And we call those sparks, because we wanted to spark their interest in using children's books in different ways. Now, the expectation is that they read to the children out loud every single day, 2 and 3 times actually, but we wanted a certain book read. So anyway, we did these. You can see the teachers kind of going from, and then we put them on our teacher website. So the teachers had access to them throughout the year, and that would be the book, this would be the little activity, and they were very, very simple activities. But we also wanted them to be cross-grade level. So if you could use it in kindergarten, we wanted you to be able to use it in 4th grade, and so, or to be able to tweak it. And I'm blessed. I have the best staff in the whole world, and I hope they're recording this because I'm going to play it for them. They are amazing. They are so creative. They're always out there. So anyway, this was the book list that we used the first year. Now, there is no rhyme or reason to this, people. We just randomly chose some of these books. And not randomly, I did really choose them. And I say we, but the first year it was Andra doing this. But these are the books that we used. And there was a rhyme or reason, because if you know these books at all, they got the meaning of the books got a little bit more difficult as the year went on. Little Elliot, Big City, is about an elephant. He's little. He goes to the city. He wants a cupcake. He can't get a cupcake. He finds a little mouse who's smaller than him, but they work together as friends, and he gets his cupcake. So it's a very, very simple little story. But what we did with this, and what I do is the first Wednesday of every month is our staff meeting. So I read to them the book just like I read to you, just like kids. And we read the book, and then we do a staff activity. And then the expectation is that sometime during those next 2 weeks, the teacher reads that story to their class, and then they have 2 more weeks after that to come up with a visual that shares what was the learning that took place from that book for your class or your grade level. And then our school is in a circle, and so they put it in the hall, and they can see it in the hall. And then the last week or so, they do a gallery walk. I'll show you all the pictures in just a minute. They do a gallery walk, and so they can go around and they go, oh, that's what my last year's class did, or that's what so-and-so did. And they walk around, and they see the different ways that same book, same instructions, different products. It is amazing, amazing. Then the only rule is whatever activity we do with the staff, they can't copy, because we know what that happens. We do it with the staff, they're going to do it with their class. No, they come up with their own. So what we did is I read Little Elliot, Big City, and it's about a cupcake, so I brought in cupcakes for everybody. And so it's really cute, because I noticed that when the teachers read the story to the kids, they would bring in cupcakes for the kids. Not all of them are tied to food. It would be nice if they were. The staff is always holding out that something is going to be tied to food. That one happened to be one that was tied to food. The sandwich swap, we brought in a whole bunch of different kind of sandwiches from the grocery store, we just called and got little sandwiches, and they had sandwiches, but they're not all tied to food. Anyway, this is the book. This was the teacher activity. And I also have a dad that has a printing company, and so I asked him to make me big posters of the front of the books. So he did, and we've got those out and about throughout the building too. But this happened to be the teacher activity, and I gave them a little cupcake cup, and they wrote what character trait do they have that makes them a good friend. I mean, how simple was that? It cost me all of $1. Really. And plus, actually, they were free because I got them out of the cabinet at my house. But, I mean, you think about it. That was nothing. But every staff member wrote on their cupcake what character trait makes them a great friend, because that's what the book is all about. So, that was the staff one. This is what the kids did in the hall. Now, these are huge in our building. Like, they're huge. They're like life size. Anyway, this will show you kind of what they did with that book. Every class was different. Okay, I'm going to go back because you've got to see. But every class did something different. Now, I will tell you that the expectation was that every class do something different with the book. And they did. But the teachers wised up, don't they always? And then the next time I noticed they were grade level activities versus classroom activities, but that was okay. You know, the purpose was just to see. The elephant that's on the left, there are friendship words all around him. You can't really see what that is, but then there was, of course, Molly Lou Melon. Look at this. I mean, amazing. And these are all in the hallway around, and these are snowflakes. And if you haven't read the story, you go, why does she have snowflakes on the poster? It was from the story, of course. And on the snowflakes were, let's see, words that would help you become a better friend or whatever it is. They're not all about friendship, but here's other Molly Lou Melons. Now, same story, same instructions, different products. And that's what I preach to the teachers all the time. I do not want to walk down this hallway and see George Washington with cotton ball hair one more time. I've done this 40 years. I'm not going to do it. I don't want to see him. So it's talking about getting different. Maybe the kids tell you, what did they see? This group loved the music piece when she sang like a frog. So they used music notes for their display. But this different grade levels did different things. This is, of course, Pete the Cat. He was probably about second or third after in the scheme of things because everybody knows Pete. But if you know Pete, it's all about resilience and picking yourself up and all that kind of thing. But different Pete the Cats. Amazing. I walk down the hall, and I'm a big old crier anyway. I'm a mush. And I just go, that's the cutest thing I've ever seen. They really got it. Oh, my gosh. They really understood what the story was about. But you notice from kindergarten up, it changes because their perception of what the story was really about grows with their age, of course. So that was so cool. Pete the Cat. This one looked at it from getting into sticky situations. How do you get out of a sticky situation? These are gum wrappers. Is that not amazing? Then over here, Pete the Cat, first grade, came to me and said, okay, listen, we think Pete the Cat wants us to have a shoe drive. And we said, okay. So they organized a school-wide shoe drive. And they put the flyers out. It was all about Pete the Cat and all blah, blah. And these are photos of all the children in the school bringing in the shoes. And so it was amazing. I think that was last year. We probably had 500 pair of shoes that they brought in. We do walk to school Wednesdays, which are 2 days out of the month. The kids walk to school, and the teachers, hello! The teachers actually go out into the community, and they walk in like Pied the Piper, and all the little kids come in. It's amazing, amazing. That's a whole nother session. But they brought shoes. We said, all right, clean out your closets. Talk to your parents. Don't bring shoes that you don't like. You bring shoes that your parents say you can bring. And they brought them in. It was amazing. Now, first grade, when they got them, they categorized them. They had them out in front of the school. They took chalk. They had them all outlined. They had them by what kinds, by colors. They had graphed them. It was an amazing learning experience based off Pete the Cat. So those little things that just happened, there's more Pete the Cat. Going with the flow, that was Pete the Cat. Who would have thought of that? I mean, that's not how I saw that book at all. Mr. Tiger Goes Wild. And if you're not familiar with that story, he is kind of a guy stuck in a rut. And he decides he's going to go wild. And he goes a little too wild. And so his friends don't like him anymore. They kind of shun him because he realizes he's got to kind of come back and be a little happy medium. That's what it is. So these are the teachers. And their job, I had construction paper out at the staff meeting. And I said, your job is to find something from that story that speaks to you and tell me why. I mean, look at this. That's amazing. This is the staff one. That's the staff one. This is in a hallway, so the kids can come up and see it, and they're always coming up to read about their teachers. They always want to read about their teachers. This is more Pete the Cat. And there's a quote in that story, and it says, there's a good time for everything, even going wild. And so that gave us a great opportunity to talk to the children. Yeah, there's some good times that you can go wild. There are other times that you can't go wild. Where's a good time to go wild? Where's, those kind of things. So you had those really good conversations. Here's some more. Bad Case of the Stripes. Awesome. This is the teacher one. Because again, we read the book at the first meeting of every month. They do an activity. Rule is, can't copy that because we all know. And then they have 2 weeks to get their displays up in the hallway. And then the last week, the school does the gallery walk. And you do the teachers do the gallery walk whenever they want to. See these little stickies? That's feedback. They get feedback on their, and we talk about, that gives us such a wonderful opportunity to talk about what is warm feedback and what is cold feedback. We don't do cold feedback at Cottonwood. We're going to do the warm feedback. So it'll be things like, and it's the cutest thing, they'll go, I like your colors. I mean, because every kid gets a sticky to put what they want on there. Or the older ones will go, wow, this was really creative. I never would have thought. I mean, you see it with the age. But they go around and they put stickies on all of the posters to tell them. And I also go around and I put a sticky on every poster with a comment. Like, I never thought about it this way. Hopefully mine are a little bit heady. I don't know. But anyway, this is 4th grade, and if you've read Stripes, Bad Case of Stripes, was she liked lima beans, but she didn't want anybody to know she liked lima beans because she thought people would make fun of her, but she loved lima beans and all that. So this 4th grade decided, you know what, there are foods that we say we don't like, but we really don't know if we like them or not. So they brought in their favorite foods for others to try, to see if the other boys and girls would like the foods that they like. This was so much fun. Look at them. They had asparagus. They had things that they liked, but they felt like they didn't know if their friends would like or not. We are a very, very diverse campus. We have about 19 different languages on the campus. So a lot of this was food from their countries that they didn't think their friends would like and that they wanted them to see. So now when they see them open up their lunch and they've got something that may be a little bit different, they're going, ew, I don't like that. How do you know? So 4th grade did this. I thought that was amazing, just, how they came up with that. This one is The Girl Who Never Made Mistakes, an amazing story. This was toward the end of the year because the message is a little bit stronger. But this is the reason we order 7 books is because we put one in the front office so the parents can see when they come in. So it's right up here, plus a little write-up about the book is right there. So, and it's right by where the parents check in, and we have a lot of parents checking in every day at our school. And so we wanted them to see the book. So we put it on a little stand. We put the little sign there, and when the kids come through the office, go, we're reading that book. Like, we don't know, but they'll say, we're reading that book. I'll go, oh, really? So this was just another way to put it out there. We also have it on our website, and I'll show you a picture in a minute, because we thought we want the parents to know we're reading a book about leadership and about character, because they know, of course, they're very proud we're a school of leadership. And so and they will buy these books. If it's at the book fair, they're gone. Or they'll say, where'd you get that book? And we'll go Amazon or something. They will order these books for the kids. And, I've had so many ask, you mean 5th graders? 5th graders are all about these books. When I go into a classroom to read, they don't want me to read a chapter book. They want me to read Molly Lou Mellon in my southern voice. They said, Ruby, can you do your witch voice today? Or what? And I'll go, okay. And we'll do a different. They love the children's books. And I had a teacher ask me, he said, why don't you read chapter books? I said, it's not the same. It's just not the same. So we're sticking with our picture books. Oh, shoot. What did I just do? Yikes. You're going to see. Let me see if I can how do we get over here? Go back to present. Yeah, go back over here. I must have hit a button. Oh, now it's going to load it forever. Oh, there we go. Okay. There we go. This was the girl who never made mistakes. This was their take on it, different take. Who would have thought lemonade? And they looked at the glass half full, that old saying. And, I'm sorry. I love this. What did you learn about, what mistake did you make that you learned from? To not get near hot stuff. Ow! See the kid over here? So a lot of them took that about what mistake have you made that you won't make again because you learned from it. What we have learned from the children is that, wow, their thinking on this is amazing, and the conversations that they have. Some of the byproducts that we didn't anticipate was, several were that, first of all, you can't read a book in that building now that they don't say, that's friendship. or you can't even like read a line that go, you know he's honest. I mean, it's like we've created this monster that you try to read a book just to read a book. Oh no, you've got to hear, he's got integrity. I mean, they just spot it just like that, and they talk about it, and I'm thinking, oh my God, that's like a principal's best dream, that kids know what integrity looks like in this story. And we didn't tell them. It doesn't say the girl who never made mistakes, well, she sure got integrity. Because you can tell that until you put a child in a situation where they have to figure it out on their own. That's the higher level right there. So that has been a byproduct. Also, the conversations that the kids have. This was a great one. This is called the Sandwich Swap, and it's about two little girls, and they were from different countries, and they didn't like each other's food, and it ends up being a big food fight in the lunchroom, which is a big old hit at the Cottonwood. They want to have a food fight, and I said, we're reading the story. We're not acting it out. I said, but this was the teacher board, and the teachers wrote, they had to do something that they didn't think they would like to do, and they tried it, and now they like it. And the children would spend hours looking at these because they'd go, oh, there's Miss Gilstrap, that's the PE teacher, or there's Dr. Penny. Every teacher had something that they didn't think they would like, but once they tried it, that they did. And so some of it was food. One of it was bowling. I said, boy, that is lame, but whatever. Yeah. Didn't think I'd like bowling, but now I do. Okay. Broccoli. You can tell this is broccoli. This one was spicy foods. I mean, some were food, some were not, but it was so cool to see that the teachers make mistakes too. And we thought we didn't like something, and we tried it, and we liked it. So just the little byproducts of that. These are some more from that same. I got accepted because I love pickles, but no one truly loved them. That was Mavis. But what did you think you wouldn't be accepted about, but once you kind of told that you like something, everybody said, oh, okay. A lot of sandwiches. Again, these are all in the hallway. I love this one. This is her sandwich. But look, these are ingredients. But then what she said, it's important to be yourself, because if you aren't, then someone might get the wrong impression of you. But again, these are all in the hallway. All right, that was last year. This is this year. So some of you came to my session last year. This was this year's list. I don't have this coming year's list yet. We've got several kind of that we're thinking about. But these were this year's books. And again, are you familiar with any of these? Are there some that you've not heard of before? Any that you've thinking, oh, I've never heard of that one. We started with Only One You. It's a very simple picture book, and it was a really great way to start off the year on, because everybody is different, everybody's special. That also kicked off our Genius Hour, and that's another session this afternoon at 1 o'clock in this same room. But anyway, The Invisible Boy, amazing story about children who are invisible. The activity that I asked the staff to do was to write down a child in their room that they felt was invisible. And they had to put it on a piece of paper, and they had to put it in their desk. And I said, I want you to look at that name every single day, and you make sure that little boy or little girl is not invisible. Bring Me a Rock, we did around Thanksgiving, and I'll show you some pictures in a minute. And there was a reason we did it around Thanksgiving. Dear Dragon, Enemy Pie, If You Plant a Seed, and Those Shoes. Those shoes kind of lasted 2 months, but you'll see why. This is Only One You. Oh. Some people ask, how long do you leave these up? Well, we used to leave them up and then take them down every time a new book came out. But then we thought, oh my gosh, there's so much learning that's still there. So we just leave them up until we don't have any more room. Then we'll take the oldest one down and put the new ones up. These are huge, huge fish. And on each of the fins are little notes. I'm special because I'm Japanese. Look how she spelled Japanese. Is that not precious? That's koi. Isn't that precious? It is important to be yourself because people can know you better. Out of the mouth of babes. I mean, oh my goodness, just the character and the leadership that these kids have come up with. The Invisible Boy is all around the building, and those stars were words that would make him feel uninvisible. That we made that word up, I think. Here he is again. This book really hit home with our children, and I was surprised because it's a little bit kind of sad in a way because this little boy, and he just feels like he's invisible. He's quiet in the classroom. And, it was so cool because the teachers would say, the kids really picked up on that quiet child in the room. And I said, really? And they said, oh, yeah. They'd say, some kids in here are really quiet. And so they really picked up on it. These are words that describe you so you wouldn't be invisible. Then one teacher took it the opposite, and she said, what are some words that would make someone feel invisible? And it's that not, kind of switching it. You are rude. I don't want to be your friend. Things that would make someone feel invisible. I thought, you can't do not if you don't know the right answer. So I thought that was really neat. This is Bring Me a Rock, and Bring Me a Rock is about a real bossy insect who talks to the kids and bring me a rock, bring me a rock. And we talk about, there's a way to say bring me a rock that would be nice, and then others that would be rude. And so this was so bizarre. This was one of the classes did this, and they put these rocks, they're little paper rocks, all around the building. I had no idea what was going on. And they were everywhere. In the art room, the teacher had them to paint rocks, and they wrote words of encouragement or words of leadership on the rocks. They took the rocks into the town, the city, and they would plant the rocks at different places. And then on the back of the rock, it had how to contact us. So take a picture, put it out on Twitter, whatever you wanted to do. Oh, my God. We were getting pictures from everywhere, and they said, can we take it to my grandma? I said, you can take it wherever you want. And so kids started taking these rocks. We called them love drops once this happened. And they took them everywhere. It was amazing. I had one of my teachers who's a runner, and she came in one day, and she said, look what I found on the path. I said, are you kidding? It was one of our rocks that some child had put, and it just said trust on it. So they got to choose. We had, 560 rocks in that building. But I thought, wow, Bring Me a Rock was what kind of, you can see them over here getting ready to, these were the fake rocks. I love what they wrote. When it rains, look for rainbows, because when it's dark, you can look for stars. And those were all over the building. Dear Dragon is a story about pen pals, and I think that's a lost art. We do a lot of email pals and all that, which is awesome, but we took it old school on this one, and we paired up every kid in the whole school with someone of a different grade level. And we paired them up, and we said, you're going to write letters to each other, and that's what this story is about, which is hysterical because they're going, what's a pen pal? And I'm thinking, you don't know what a pen pal is? Her name was Anna Marie Shalupka. She lived at 246 Hastings, Nebraska. That's when I was 10 years old. I can still remember her name. Anna Marie, are you in here? No. But one of these days I'm going to say that, and she's going to go, it's me. But anyway, we paired up the kids. We gave the little ones kind of a template, but the other ones did not. And they had to go and they had the reveal, where they could go, and they didn't know each other at all. And so this was so fun to watch these kids meet up. Well, after this, they were like BFFs. When they saw their little fourth grade friend in the hall, they were like, hey, it was amazing. Now, this one took a lot of time. It really did. But, let me go back. It was amazing because I want you to see, we had this huge display, and then we took pictures with their pairs. So, if I was Raquel's little friend, we had our picture made with holding our notes. It was amazing, and it was all pencil paper. I said, we're going to old school, boys and girls, and we've got a lot of technology in our building, a ton. And so we said, we're going to go old school, and it was great. So this was really, really a fun one. Enemy Pie is probably my favorite book. Are you familiar with Enemy Pie? All right, it's a story of a little boy who has kind of an enemy who makes his life miserable. His dad said, well, I can tell you what to do. We're going to serve him some enemy pie. So the kid's all excited thinking it's going to be poison. He's going to poison that kid who's making his life miserable, and it's not. It's just really how to come together and be a great friend. This was the staff one, and this pie was the size of this screen. And all I did is I said, I want you to tell me your favorite pie. And they were going, oh, I love that. So they'd just write their little name and put cherry or whatever all over the pie. And then we brought in pies. And so this was another one tied to pies. And let me tell you the trick on pies. I was going to make them. Not. I don't know what I was thinking. I said, I'm going to make pies. I just love pies. I do love pies, but I thought, golly. So I called the bakery. I said, how much would it be to do pies for everybody? They said, oh, about $70, $80. I went, are you serious? So I go to Walmart. I'm going, and I get those 10 for $1 fried pies that are cardboard, but they're awesome. You know, I love them. They're awesome. So Walmart is the best place to get. And I got moon pies. I thought, hey, we're busting it out. We did moon pies, fried pies. I did have a couple of pies that were like real pies. But you know what? They loved it. It's the teachers, and I spoil my teachers rotten. I do, because they deserve it. But anyway, it was enemy pie. Here's their take on enemy pie. All right, we also had a little contest. And every team had this pie right here, and in the slices of the pie are something that the team had to do together. Now, I don't know about your staff, but they're the most competitive group of people ever. And I'm not. I'm like, everybody should be friends. Let's just, nobody needs to win. Oh, no. They're like, what are the rules and how do we win? All of them. I said, who hired you? I don't get it. But anyway, they each had this. I said, the first team that can color in their pie get a special treat. They never asked me what. They didn't care. It was all about winning. That was it. So I'm thinking, what's going to be the special treat? They're in there. They were like, they said, well, how long do we have? I said, well, when your whole team, and it was the whole team do that. And this one's like a personal phone call has been made to the parents of every learner in your class, which that's an expectation anyway. So, but when the whole team did it, they colored it in. And so these were out in the hallway where everybody could see them. That's another just, I got to win because everybody can see it. It was amazing. They had so much fun just doing a little slice of the pie. So if you want that, I can scan it and send it to you too. It's just a piece of pie. But anyway, this is what you can look just all around the building, different kind of pies. No screaming. Say you're sorry and don't tattle. That's how you be a friend. Just different. If you plant a seed, we did it in the spring. Imagine that. But it was the seeds of kindness. This was 5th grade. And on every one of the flowers are just, each child had a flower, and they put all the reasons that you could be a good friend and all of that. Kindergarten looked at it as a garden. So they've got carrots and all that. And on the carrots, you can see, say kind words to people. You know, it was so precious, but these are just awesome character traits and leadership. That's what leaders do. Leaders are kind. Leaders take care of each other. You can see this was kindergartens. They had big, huge plants. Be honest. Oh, and on each of the little deals, I tried to take a picture so you can see. Be nice, N-I-S-E, of course. Be nice. Be honest. Those are character traits. Be honest, be nice, be. All right, this one was the last one that we did this year, and I absolutely loved it because if you've not read this story, it's a story of a little boy who wanted a pair of shoes really, really bad, and his grandmother said, I'm sorry, we don't have enough money for those shoes because naturally they were the Air Jordans or something, and because his friend has them. And he looked at those shoes, and he looked at those shoes. You can see him, and he had old tattered yucky shoes. Well, they go to a thrift store, and he finds the pair of shoes. And his grandma says, you can have those shoes. Well, they're about 5 sizes too small, but he gets that foot in there. It's a Cinderella story. He's putting that little shoe in there, and he's getting that foot in there, and he buys the shoes. But they hurt his feet. They're horrible. I love the lesson in that. And some of our older kids got it so quickly. They said, some things you wish for make you miserable. And I thought, oh my God, you know, this is amazing that these kids are coming up with this. And I go, you're exactly right. We've lived that story where it's something that we want so badly, we get it, and we're going, oh, it made me miserable, like that pie that we ate 5 slices of. But anyway, different things around the school. Well, we have a cult council at our school, and it's K through 5. It's like a student council, except it's K through 5. And they meet once a month, and they talk about being leaders. We talk about what are some things that we can do around the school. We help teachers. We do whatever we do. We always have a team building. I'm the leader of that one. And again, it's every class has one representative except 5th grade, and they have 2 per class because I need their help, if you know what I mean. So we meet and we talk about what are some things that we need to problem solve in our school and all that. So when we read this book, their idea was, you know what, Dr. Penny, we hadn't had our shoe drive this year. And I said, oh, is it annual now? I guess I didn't know that. They said, yes, it's the annual shoe drive. And I went, oh, well, this was like April or May's book. And we said, well, if we're going to have a shoe drive, we better have it really quickly. So they did the posters, they put them in the hall, they did the announcements, they did the commercials, they did everything. And we had the shoe drive based on this book. And so it was really, really cool. And so that was one of the last activities that we did at the end of the school year. So I'm going to stop for just a minute and see if anybody has any questions.
When are they doing the work? When are they creating the product? Are they doing it during their ELA time?
Okay, good question. He said, when are the students creating their work? Whenever the teachers want to. Normally, they have a time that's read aloud time. So if they choose to do the book during leadership during read aloud time, you know what? Our kids get read to a lot. And I'm glad you asked that. So it's really whenever they want to. Something else that we've done is they'll have readers come in to read the book. Now, guess who the fave is? They said, Dr. Penny, can you come in and read that book with your voices? I'll go, well, but I really caution them on that. I said, you don't want a parent coming in here and reading that book cold turkey. That is not going to work because, first of all, I don't like that idea anyway because you're not modeling great reading. And so this is your chance. You've heard the story already. Most of them know the book already. So this is your chance to really bring your voices out, do a little animation, whatever it is. So my expectation is they read it or we get the librarian who is awesome to read it. The 5th grade teacher upstairs, he called me and said, hey, nobody reads Molly Lou Mellon like you. He said, would you come up here and read it to my class? Well, I said, well, you want my Southern voice? He said, yes, I want you in the Southern voice because I just think that little girl had to be in Tennessee or something. I don't know. Now, the deal is, really, a 1st grade teacher wrote Molly Lou Mellon. She lives up north. Yeah, she lives up north. I think she's in New York or Connecticut or somewhere. But for some reason, I just think that grandma is a Southern grandma that said, girl, you just smile and you just sing because you're going to be fine. And so and of course those kids are going, I can't believe you can do those voices. I said, hey, I've been doing this a long time. But they will have each other. Our literacy coach, who, by the way, did all these slides for me, is she not the most creative, wonderful thing ever? She is a fabulous reader. And so she will go in and read. On Dear Dragon is, it's kind of a conversation between the pen pal, the two kids one's a dragon, but he doesn't know his pen pal is a dragon. And so it's a story, and so she will go in and team with the teacher. So she read that book 27 times, because that's how many sections we have. She said, I got that memorized. And the kids would go, Miss Glad, I can tell you got that book memorized. She said, yeah, I read it 27 times. But she would do that with the teacher and kind of team. So we try to make it a little bit novel, but, good reading is good reading. I'm going to go backwards just a little bit, because I told you that I tried this with adults. And I teach at Columbia University out of New York. But actually, it's in a cohort in New Orleans. So I get to live in New Orleans for 3 weeks every summer. I'll be heading down there next week. This is their principal prep program. And so these are adults. I call them my kids, but some of them are 40-ish. I guess they could be my kids. Dang, I forgot. I guess they could. Yikes. Anyway, I tried it with them. I said, we're going to do it. And so every day at the end of class, this is a principal prep program, we would do our book of leadership. Now, they're looking at me like the first day, I have a teaching partner. His name is Scott. He's from McAllen. I don't know if anybody's from McAllen. He's my teaching partner, and he said, you're nuts. I said, we're going to try it. We're going to see what happens. So every day, we would get the book out. The first day, I thought I was going to lose those secondary people. I thought they're going to walk out right now. They're just going to walk out. Now, that was the day that I brought the cupcakes in. They were so. Every day they're going to come back going, They're going to stay every day just to see if she brings some cookies in or something. But anyway, every day I'd read the story. Now, we did not have conversation about it. We would just kind of let it go. And so we did it every single day, every day. What started to happen was absolutely amazing. We'd say, all right, today our leadership book is going to be Molly Lou Mellon. They'd start to come down, and they were sitting down like little children. I said, oh, my God, these 35-year-old people were coming down from their seats, and they're sitting right there, and we're going, I know, it's like, it was amazing. It was amazing. So they would sit there on days that they thought we weren't going to have the children's book. They'd go, excuse me, are we having children's hour today? They started calling it children's hour. And we're going, yes, every day, I promise you, we're going to have children's hour. They called it children's hour. It went better than I ever dreamed. Their final was that they had to take each book and had to take it and spin it from a leadership. If you were principal in a building, what did you learn from Molly Lou Mellon? If you were principal at a 5A high school that's going down the tubes, what did you learn from Molly Lou Mellon? That was their final. I cried when I read them because it was amazing what they took away from the children's books. Now, what we have found is we go and visit these kids. They're everywhere. They're all over the United States and some are internationally. When you go, they've got these books in their office. They have read them to their kids, and a lot of these are secondary. We get emails all the time going, I read it to my civics class. I read it to my calculus class. I said, you did? They're going, they loved it. The kids, what we found out, even high school kids say, can we have the children's book? And I think the whole reason I did this to begin with was to write an article about it, because I know in my heart that things like children's books take us back to where my parents read to me little golden books. You're going, what in the heck's a little golden book? Thank you, Lord. Make me feel good. Raise your, go, I know. They read little golden books. And, you know, as a teacher, I read to my 2 children. My little grandson has every book you can imagine. Everyone, because we read to him over and over again, and the research is so clear. And if you were in the session yesterday, I felt like she was talking about this session. Did you remember what she said? She said, there's this principal, and I heard that she reads the same book. And I went, that would be me. I don't think she was talking about me, but I let me think she was talking about me. But the power in these children's books are unbelievable. Y'all, take my word for it. Some of you were in my session last year. I don't know if you did it or not. If you did, I'll stand up for testimonial, only if it's positive. Yeah, if it's bad, I'm not listening. Because guess what? We don't listen to negative things because we read Pete the Cat. So what we have seen with the children in our building is that they can talk about these books. They know about them. The sandwich swap, they said, Dr. Penny, did you read that part about the food fight? I'll go, I sure did. They said, are we going to have one? I went, no, we're not going to have a food fight. So then that got to be a big joke. I'd see them, and I said, I know you're looking at that poster. No, we're not going to have a food fight. I would have loved to have a food fight. Wouldn't that have been awesome? You know what? When I retire, I might do that. Right before I leave. Say, boys and girls, you can remember your favorite principal. That would be me, and you're going to have a food fight. But, you know, it worked with grown-ups. I get emails all the time. We've done this. This will be our 3rd year to do them with grown-ups in the leadership class. And every year I get emails that say, I had no idea. I just tried it with my class. I just tried it, and it worked. They won't let me leave unless I do a book every day. They already want to know what books to use again. It's amazing. But I want to encourage you. That was a really good question. I totally answered it and moved on to something else. But, yes.
Okay, talk to me about when you're working with the staff.
Mm-hmm.
You read the book, and then each grade level does, or it's just one staff?
The whole staff does an activity.
Do you drive that in?
Yes, I do. Because I felt like, and you know as well as I do, if you leave it up to and this is something else I learned. One of the activities, I said, look, I'm going to give you a week. I want you to do this and get back to me. Guess how many we had? 2 out of 60 people. I said, they're too busy for that. So he said, all right, let's do it while we're there. Have the materials there. And usually it's something as easy as that cupcake paper, right? What trait do you have, or make something? I mean, it's usually, we had the big pie ready. All they had to do is put their name and their favorite pie. Now, I was hoping somebody would bring me my favorite pie, but no. They said, oh, we like key lime too. I went, well, why don't you bring us one, you know? But I do it there. Good question, because we learned the hard way that if you give them something to do, that's shame on me. They're too busy. But then the rule was they can't go out and replicate it, because I didn't want to walk down the hall and see, 14 of those big pies with everybody's favorite pie on it. So, yes. Yes. Yeah, I went with it. I didn't care. I did care, but I couldn't let on because I got it. And those teams are really tight. They work so closely together. And I thought, it's not about that. It's about them having that conversation. Now, they still have to read the book to their class individually. I don't want it to be a big grade level book where everybody's going, I can't see the pictures. I don't hear you. That's not what we wanted. But, when they wanted to do grade level, I was fine with that. Yes. Right. No, they read aloud 2 and 3 times a day. But yes, and the older ones, of course, are reading chapter books, but there's a read aloud every single day by a teacher in that classroom, in every single classroom, every day. Yes. You go right ahead. No, you know what? I hired those that know how to do that, and if they don't, also teach another grade. You'd be surprised how many first-year teachers don't know how to do a read aloud. They honestly do not know how to do a read aloud. So student teachers, I also teach student teachers, and that is one thing we say, we're going to show you, and I model it. And, that was another thing when I did it for the college students. They're secondary. They have degrees in biology and all this stuff, and they had no idea. So I modeled for them. And I made sure they could see the pictures, and we put a lot of them on the big screen so they could see the pictures, but we always had the book. And even in class, up on the front, every day, because we teach every day, we have that book right there every day. So when they come in, they'll go, ooh, it's going to be Molly Lou Melon or, Pete the Cat or something like that. Because they see it, so they know that it's going to happen. But we model it. Yes. Mm-hmm. Yes, I bought one per grade level. So we have 6 grade levels. So there's one, they just share it. There's 4 or 5 sections of each grade level. And so they share it. Or they buy it. A lot of them just buy it themselves. Or some of them, they all had Pete the Cat because that was a book we used one year for a theme. So, yeah. No, please. Can y'all hear her questions? Right. The scanning picture, okay, you've lost me. When you said scanning on Google Docs, I kind of lost me.
I did see that you use Google Docs that way.
Right.
Information and like the little sparks.
Right.
But did you do any scanning of the actual books on Google Docs?
No, because I'm afraid that's a copyright violation. Now, I'm not exactly for sure because we're not selling it. Oh, I've got to tell you some byproducts that we didn't. The teachers in our building are off the charts Twitters. They do Twitter, they do all that. Okay, the authors of these books have started following us. Oh my gosh. They're like, we wondered why all of these books are being sold like in the set. I mean, it's been off the charts. We're going, you owe us some free books. Unbelievable. We have Skyped with several of the authors because they found that we were using their books for leadership. The guy who did Little Elliot, Big City. The next one is Little Elliot, Big Family or something. I forgot. Anyway, he sent us, he said, this is an author's dream for a school to pick this up and go with it. And then I presented this at national conferences. It's the easiest, cheapest thing ever. I mean, I'm 3 years ahead of you, so all you have to do is start copying what we've done, for 3 years. And it just fit in with our leadership so beautifully. But no, we scanned for college because we're figuring, they can probably afford if we get sued or something. I don't know. But we're not selling it, and we're not we do not send that out. We only use it so they can see the pictures. But we still always have the book right there so they can pick it up and look at it. Oh, and by the way, I take a bunch of those copies and we give them as door prizes in class because every day we have door prizes when I'm teaching a class. Sorry, I forgot the door prizes for y'all, but anyway, I usually do and I totally forgot. But we give a door prize, it's the book. And they're going, oh my God, I got Pete. They're so excited. And we're going, who would have thought? Something so simple. And again, we've already started looking at next year. What are the new books out there? But not necessarily new, because some of these aren't new. What are the new ones out there that don't say this is all about courage, this is all about honesty? That's not what you want. You want the kids to figure it out. Because the book, they may not have seen the same trait that we saw, and there's multiple traits in every book. I want to show you something, how to find us. This is an example of what it looks like on, I don't know if it'll let me go to the website or not. Maybe. Oh, yeah. Okay. Look at there. Woohoo! That just made my day. Mm-hmm. I don't know about y'all, but I'm depressed. Okay. It's not showing the whole thing. It's probably still looking for it. Anyway, on our website, maybe it's still loading or something, because it's usually right down here. Well, I'm going to go backwards here for just a second. I'll show you. Okay, this is how it looks on our website, except it's down. I don't know. She kind of crunched it over there. But it's on the website, so everybody can see. And I was going to show you one other thing. It's not letting me do it. I don't know why. But anyway, it's on the website. Also on our website, there are... we have a lot of visitors to our school, mainly to see Genius Hour, but they also get to see this too, of course, because it's everywhere. But on our website, there's a place where you can click on for tours and all that, and for about $350, we'll let you come and visit our school. No, it's free. I did tell the kids, I think we need a fundraiser. And they said, what? I said, why don't you stand at the door, and every visitor we have, you take $10 with your sad little face. But there's a little thing that you can click on and come and visit our campus. We would love, love, love for you to come and see what's going on at that school. It's an amazing place for children. It's Disneyland for kids. That's what we call it. But there's a place on our website. It's just not letting me go there. I'm sorry. I'm afraid if I hit exit, is it going to exit off, or is it just going to take that bar off? You hear that? Like right here? Okay. Okay. You're the expert, Tiffany. Oh, well, it's not that big of a deal, but I was going to show you. Oh, there it goes. Woo-hoo. Stop. Well, it's not that important. It's just the website. It showed you kind of what it was. I think the bibliography's back there too, all the books and things, but I think you were taking pictures and all that. Any other questions about that? Sure.
Let me just ask, let me go back to the beginning.
Okay.
When you first introduced this to your so none of the faculty meeting, you brought a book in.
Yes.
And did this whole thing.
Yes.
And then had them come back with ideas for books?
No.
No.
Yes and no.
So you rarely chose the book yourself, so you had them give ideas.
Okay, the first time, she had a really good question. She said, the first time you did this, the Spark part, that's just a bank of books that we have. That's in case you get in a bind and you want a leadership book or a book of character. You can go to that our part of our website, and those little sparks are there, already there. So those are other books. Then these books are the ones that I chose to present. So it's two really different things. But we thought, I don't want teachers to go, well, I need a book on leadership, and I went down there and it was all about Abraham Lincoln being honest. And I said, really? There's 20 of those. So we wanted to give them a bank of books that they could go and use. So that's what that bank is over there. We only did that 1 year, and that's been 2 years ago. I don't think they used it. I really don't. I think the teachers are so creative and so they didn't need it, but I didn't want them to have to do it. Plus, I will just be honest, we always have a book that we read as a staff, and I pay for it, and it costs $600 and something every summer. And I thought, how could I be free? So I told them they had to get books from the library, and they had to meet with that friend at least one time during the summer, and they had to come up with their idea. Didn't cost me anything. Didn't cost me anything, because I am cheap. So that was what that was about. Great question, because it's really two separate things. Any other questions? I'm here to answer whatever. Yes?
Kendra, how big is your school? What's your enrollment size?
About 560. Okay. Something like that. Again, very, very diverse. Very diverse. Not a top. It's a high SES campus, but very diverse. And we have children from all over the world, which is another reason to read out loud to children. When you don't speak the language, you can look at the pictures. And you can still, and that was another reason we chose the word leadership versus character. Because character in other languages doesn't mean what we think it means. But leadership means the same.
And it's so
And so that
personal.
was another reason that we
Character is
did
really
that.
personal.
Well, I'm tickled that you're here. If you're really into Genius Hour, we're going to be back in this room at 1 o'clock. Hopefully I'll have a new slide.